Hello and welcome to this collective reading. I hope you're all well. My name is Dylan. Thank you all for being here. If it's your first time here, then welcome. If you've been here before, then welcome back. This is a timeless reading, and so you'll be finding these messages just at the right time that you need to find them. And if you enjoy my readings, then please subscribe, and you can also find a link to private readings down below in the description box. So without further ado, let's see what wants to come through in this reading. I'm getting a strong ancestral energy coming through, actually, something to do with ancestors. So it could be a message coming through of support and some help moving forwards from ancestors. Let's see what we've got here. Five of Cups. So I'm getting this as a strong message to feel our emotions, and also a message that not everything we're feeling is ours. So we could be processing some ancestral grief at the moment, some ancestral sadness, maybe like a sense of loss of something that's been lost by our ancestors. This feels cultural in some way. It could be connected to the loss of a language. If we're living in a country where a language has been suppressed, for example, think Ireland, Scotland, Wales, for example, or if you are, descended from bloodlines from those countries or any other countries that have been oppressed and lost their languages. There's something about talking, about speech, about expression. It could be to do with the loss of culture in terms of song, also in terms of dance, for example. There's just lots of things coming through that have been lost over the years, over thousands of years actually. That's what's coming through. And so the loss and the grief that we could be feeling that's starting to bubble to the surface could be something that we're feeling from a long time ago. Could also be past life related, but I'm feeling more from ancestry in this reading. So I'm just getting the sense that it's important to let these waves kind of wash over us in terms of emotion, because holding things in and bottling things up, that's not going to help. There's kind of like a pressure energy that's going on, something that's like building up below the surface, and that we could need to breathe through, express through tears, through crying if we need to, through journaling just came through quite strongly then, just writing whatever comes through. So sit down with a pen and paper and just write anything that comes to mind, and I feel like it could be quite a strong emotional release. There is really something that we need to walk away from in that sense. Once we've felt that, then it can actually be released fully through the ancestry, through the bloodlines, and we're actually not just healing ourselves, but we're healing the past and also the future as well, future generations. And so it's really important. Like, I'm definitely getting this sense of like feel our feelings, feel what's coming to the surface right now. And I just heard that there's a lot of power and magic within these feelings, and actually there's a lot of magic that's being suppressed, a lot of magic that's being held back because of this grief, because of this sadness. It's almost like I've seen like a heavy weight on top of something. So there's something wanting to rise up and be expressed and be enjoyed, worked with, something that wants to be created, something magical that wants to be expressed. And with all of this weight of this heaviness, of this grief, it's actually not being allowed out, and it's not being expressed. There's some sadness around that, some grief around things that used to be expressed hundreds, thousands of years ago, magical abilities, for example, that had to be hidden away or were persecuted. There's something there that needs to be uncovered again and worked with as we move forwards. So let's pull another card from Tarot of the Hidden Realm, see what else we can pick up from that. Okay, so we have the Four of Pentacles. Again, I'm getting this family energy. There's something around stability as well, and I just saw like all of this moving around. It's like hopping from place to place. So this could be related to ancestral connections, to peoples who were moved on or felt that they had to move from their country, from their land. There's a feeling of being displaced. But actually, as we feel these emotions and we honour them and we connect with these ancestors, we're actually bringing them into the present moment. We're bringing them into a space where they can actually help us to find stability and security. And when we find that within ourselves and create that in our lives, we're actually creating it for them as well. So there's a very strong sense of reciprocity coming through around this, where we do the work to communicate with our ancestors, we do the work to steady ourselves, and they actually support us in that and help us to find that stability. And yeah, it's definitely a win-win situation that's going on. They feel what we feel what they felt, and the more that we can go within and we can heal that and we can connect with them, the more we're going to actually live a full and rich life. Because I feel like a lot of what was stripped away, a lot of what was persecuted, a lot of what was suppressed and taken away from people way back, really wants to make its way back up to the surface at the moment. And you might notice, if you're connected to any teachings around ancestral crafts or practices, or the ancient languages, the original languages of different lands, maybe the languages of your ancestors, if you're connected with that, you may have noticed that there's a resurgence with these things, that actually we are moving through a time when people are reclaiming that cultural identity and that connection to ancient cultures. And there's so much wisdom in that. There's so much wisdom that can be gleaned from our ancestors, from these old ancient cultures who were incredibly connected to nature. So we've got this dolmen in the background here, and there's something about being sheltered by our ancestors. There's something about seeking safety within their wisdom and within their practices, and something's going to feel like homecoming, I feel. And the more that we can do that, the more we can connect with that, the more we're going to feel like we're coming home to ourselves. And many peoples over the years were, as I said, moved to different places or felt that they had to leave, were displaced. And so maybe that's how we feel within ourselves. Maybe we feel like we're not at home within ourselves. Maybe we don't know where we belong. Maybe we move around a lot. Maybe we haven't quite found home yet. Or perhaps we know people in our lives that are like that. Maybe you have children that are moving around a lot and don't feel settled. But there's something going through the ancestry, through the bloodline, that we are here to connect with again, and to have a big healing impact in that sense in our own lives, and also perhaps the people that we're related to here and now can also help them to feel more secure and safe. I just had the word legacy come through then, so this is the legacy that we're going to be passing on to future generations. This is the legacy that we're passing on to whoever we meet when we embody this more settled energy, this sense of being at home within ourselves, this sense of peace that we can find within that. When we're going out into the world with this energy, we're actually making an impact in that sense as well, helping other people to feel safe and secure and at home. So it feels like big work, but I just had the word, it starts here first. So it's not about going out and like helping all of these people if we don't know how to do that for ourselves. So it's important that we just keep coming back. Doesn't mean that we can't help anyone at all, but it's really about finding this energy within ourselves, coming home to ourselves, embodying that, staying in that feeling, in that felt sense of safety and security, and then expressing that out into the world. And that could be like a ripple effect that help other people to feel the same way. Knight of Vessels, eel. Yeah, there's something about flowing forwards, moving forwards in a... I just had the word flow state come through, or the words flow state, and I feel like that's because that's what we can find when we do come home to ourselves. There's something about creative energy wanting to move as well, and I just then had a sense of Kundalini, so this serpent energy rising up. Of course, we've got the eel here, which could be likened to a serpent. Something that wants to rise up, and there's something that wants to be realized. Actually, I was going to say expressed, but it feels more like realized. It feels like it wants to be connected with, spoken with, learned from, and this is our own inner guidance, our own inner knowing, which is what this reading is reflecting back to you. That's all I'm doing with these readings, is reflecting back your own inner knowing, and perhaps, confirming things that you'd already felt. Now there's a stone here with a sword carved into it. There's something about a warrior clan I'm picking up on there, so if that resonates, then definitely take that. Some kind of very ancient warrior clan, and you may know that you're connected to these kinds of clans, these kinds of tribes way back. And there's something, they're saying it's something to fight for. This is something to fight for, to bring back these cultures, to bring back these languages, to bring back these practices, and especially magical practices. Wisdom, from the cunning folk, the people that we don't always necessarily see around here. They were huge parts of a community. They were turned to, for wisdom and for advice, for guidance, and I feel like that's what we're lacking in our modern society, where we don't have that. There are people obviously doing that kind of work now, but way back in the day, in our ancestral times, you would have someone in every village, in every tribe, who would be a wise woman, a wise man, a wise person, who would help the tribe or the clan in times of difficulty, or they would help them to, wish well on the crops. There are lots of different things that they would do, and they would help people to heal as well. They would know how to work with the herbs, they would know how to work with the stars, they would know the constellations, they would work with poetry, with song, and I feel like that's what's wanting to come up quite strongly at the moment. I can feel it kind of rising up, and something wants to be created and expressed in that way. So whether you are a musician, or whether you are a healer, or an artist, or a writer, a poet, or all of those things, whatever you have within you that wants to be expressed, it's not just a fanciful thing, it's not just a hobby, or oh, I just like doing this sometimes, and it's nothing special. It is special. Actually, it can make such a big difference, whatever it is that you feel to share. And it could just be with a few people. It doesn't have to be like worldwide or all over social media or anything like that. It could actually just be with the people around you that need to see that kind of expression, that kind of creativity, in order to inspire them to do something similar. Or perhaps, your words will help to spark something in another person that helps them to heal. So just be aware of that. If you are pushing down some creative endeavour that wants to come through, and you're saying, oh, it's, I'll do it another day, or I'm too busy, or it doesn't matter, or that's just silly, or whatever, it's not silly. It's actually very important, and it's going to help you to shift your own state as well. I just heard the words, the ancestors are speaking through you. So whatever it is that you are feeling to create, have been creating, want to create, feel inspired to create, it's actually coming through you from way back. You're actually channeling some wisdom from a long time ago. Then we've got the Sun of Life. So this is how we can feel actually when we're being fully expressive, when we're showing up, when we're in our fullness, we're allowing our creative potential to shine out into the world. This is what it feels like, there's like this sense of having this heart opening, and we can, it sounds kind of corny or cheesy, but we can light up the world with the work that we do. And it's true, when we do show up as who we are, and we share what we're here to share, we do shine a light out into the world. And I have a friend who often talks about how there are different people all over the world that are connected kind of through like a light grid, people doing the work, doing the healing work, creating all of those things, going deeply into shadow work, and then emerging, kind of reborn, which you can see here in this card. And there are all these lights kind of dotted around the country, around the world, like internationally, and we all connect as a grid. So that could be a message for some of you. If you've picked up on that yourself, that could be a confirmation. The only reason, or the only way people can kind of see us and find us, and perhaps collaborate with us even, or work with us in some way as a client, The only way that they can do that is if we let them see us, because if we're not putting ourselves out there, then who knows that we actually exist? No one's going to know. And I just heard the words, you're doing the world a great disservice if you don't put yourself out there, because there are specific people who are meant to work with you, or perhaps have access to your artwork or your poetry, your writing, your singing, musical creations that you put out there. There are people waiting for you, and the ancestors are very insistent about that. That's what's coming through. They're like, yes, do the thing, because these people are waiting, and you need to get out there and you need to express yourself. Because, as I said, it can be very inspiring to other people when we do that. And not only that, but then we're fulfilling our sense of purpose. We're fulfilling what we came here to do. And like I said, it doesn't have to be huge and global or anything like that. It could be. But the main thing is that we do what we came here to do, and we do what comes naturally to us, because that's our gift. That is our purpose. Our purpose doesn't feel like, alien to us, like we don't know how to do it. It's just something that we turn up and we do. Like I sit down and I record these videos, or I do readings for people, or I work with energy healing. Like all of that comes very naturally to me, and I just tap into that kind of energy, get into that state, and then it just comes out. So there will be things in your life that work in that way for you, where it just comes out quite easily. It's very natural to you. That is your purpose. Okay, so 2 cards, was it 2? 1 card. It felt like 2 cards. 1 card just came out then. So we've got the drum, as I was talking about that. So perhaps some of you work as drum makers, perhaps some of you work with sound healing, maybe you're working with something in a kind of shamanic way. If you think about shamanic journeying and drumming, there's something here about being in your own rhythm as well. This says dream and journey, so a lot of you, or all of you that are going to be watching this, are going to be very connected to the dreamscape. Let's say you're very connected to ways of working with energy that are very old, that are very ancient, and that's where this ancestral message is coming through again. A lot of what you're going to be working with, or what you're already working with, comes from way back. So I'm hearing the drums now, and it actually sounds like tribal drums, so there's definitely a strong tribal element coming through here. So let's get 1 more card, just as a final message around that. How can you work with these ancestral, ancient energies? That just popped out pretty quickly. Seer, there we are. See beyond the current situation. So the kinds of people watching this video, then, whoever you are, this collective watching this video, you connect in with this energy, you connect in with this seer energy. Psychic, healing, you can either see or feel or hear energy and receive messages, and that needs to be worked with, and you can develop that. Yes, it comes through as a natural ability, but at the same time it can be developed and worked with, and I'm actually feeling as well that ancestors are stepping forwards to help you to connect with that, to expand on that gift that you already have naturally. They can help you take that far beyond what you ever expected to be able to do, so that's interesting. They're saying you just have to let it flow, you have to let it come out, and you have to work with it, because otherwise there's this bogged down feeling that I spoke about before, feeling weighted, feeling unfulfilled, maybe feeling dull, but feeling bored, because you're not allowing this energy to flow. And there could be an element of fear here, if you have had lifetimes where you've been persecuted for having these gifts, or perhaps you're picking up an ancestral trauma, and fear and pain and difficulty and strife through your ancestors being persecuted for expressing their natural gifts. But I'm hearing like now is the time to change that. And as you work with those gifts and you express those and you expand, even if this is personal for now, even if you just do this by yourself, it's going to make big shifts within you, and then that's going to ripple out. And it's also going to make big changes in your immediate kind of physical life experience as well, because you'll be shifting the internal energy, and that will shift what's happening around you. And I just had the words then, you will attract others. So if you're feeling alone in this, if you feel like you haven't got people to connect with, to work with in this way, or to just express these interests to, or talk about these gifts with, the more that you accept these gifts within yourself, and you can love those gifts and really start to love and accept yourself for being the kind of person that you are, the more you're going to attract people in who share resonance with you. And who knows, maybe you'll be able to collaborate in some way, but at the very least you'll have support and friendship and camaraderie, people you can turn to and trust with what you share with them. So, beautiful ancestral message there. Thank you to the ancestors that have come through. Thank you to all of you for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my readings, and as I said before, personal readings, private readings can be booked below via the link in the description box. So I'll speak to you all next time. Take good care. Bye bye.